Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to Unparalleled Universe for another action figure review. And today we're taking a look at the brand new Marvel Legends movie Black Widow Taskmaster. And to be honest with you, I was a little indifferent to this character design for Taskmaster. I thought it looked okay. I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. I was like, whatever. But then when I saw Taskmaster in the most recent Black Widow trailers, I started to like it a little bit more. And then once I started seeing in-hand pictures of this figure, that's when I kind of it clicked for me and I started to really like it. So I'm very excited about this figure. But let's go ahead and get into it, starting with the packaging. It's a standard Marvel Legends packaging. We've seen it 100 times before. I like it. It's collector friendly. You are able to see the figure. You can see all the accessories that he comes with. Down here it says Black Widow Taskmaster. On the side we have some cool looking Taskmaster artwork based on his movie design. On the back we get a look at all the figures in the wave that you need to build Crimson Dynamo. Taskmaster does not have a Build-A-Figure piece, so you'll have to buy these other 6 figures in order to put together Crimson Dynamo. And even though I'm not crazy about the rest of this wave, I think that Build-A-Figure looks awesome, so I gotta find a way to get that. And then up here we have a very brief Taskmaster biography. All it says is Taskmaster is armed with the ability to mimic an enemy's every move. And I don't know, I wish they'd kind of go a little bit more in detail about the character on these little biographies, because I remember when I was a kid, I used to look forward to reading these on the back of the figures so that I could learn a little bit more about the character, or maybe just learn something that I didn't know before. You know, those things were always fun to read, but you know, they don't do that. And I know, what matters is the figure, and in this case, it looks like they did a good job with it. But let's go ahead and open it up and check it out. Okay, so here we have Taskmaster right out of the box, and holy crap, I am really impressed with this figure. I really like the way that he looks. I love the orange and the blues and how they contrast each other. I like all these little armor pieces. There's a bunch of sculpting work on him. He's a really good looking figure. I think that Hasbro went all out on this guy. And you know, I think that's apparent when you look at the whole wave, because this guy is like head and shoulders over the rest of the wave. Aside from the Build-A-Figure, I think the Build-A-Figure is pretty strong, but the rest of the characters, they're kind of weak. It's a lot of repaints and reused parts and just things kind of done half-assed. But with this guy, man, they went for it here, and it came out really nice. It would have been cool if this design had some kind of cape or something, or maybe how like, you know, like a half short cape, kind of like Boba Fett or something like that. But I do like how they have the scarf and the hood and stuff. Overall, I think this character design is awesome, and this figure really does a good job of representing it. So taking a look at the amount of detail they put into this figure, it's really impressive. Hasbro always does a pretty good job of packing a lot of sculpting work into their movie figures, and Taskmaster is no exception. I think actually this is probably one of the better sculpted figures that we've seen from Hasbro as far as their Marvel movie stuff goes. But look at this. I like all the different textures on the hood. I like how there's like different types of feelings. Like the gray part here is smooth, and then back here we have that like pattern that you see. That is awesome. And the face sculpt is pretty good too. But I wish the fact that it was supposed to be inspired by like a skull was a little more apparent. It's kind of hard to tell. The nose definitely looks like a skull, and just the overall look of it does. But I wish the teeth looked a little bit better. But still, I think it looks cool, and I like the different metal colors they have in there. You can see the cheek is more like a dark gunmetal, and the rest of the face has like a more silver kind of look. But it looks awesome, and then the visor is just smooth. That's really dope. And the hood is not removable, so it does stay attached to the head. So that's one downfall, because there are definitely some shots in the trailer where Taskmaster has the hood down. So I wish that was removable. And then we have the scarf here, which is also not removable. That's stuck onto the figure. But check this out here. This is really impressive. I love the way the armor pieces on the chest look. Look at that. I love that shiny blue, the orange. All of it looks incredible. And just look at all the sculpting work they put into this thing. And I like how well the ab crunch is hidden. And the ab crunch is crazy. Check that out. Obviously, we'll look at that a little bit later. But it gets a lot of range, and you can't even see that it's there. So that is really cool. And check out the belt here. The belt is a loose piece that it pretty much stays where it's supposed to. But you can move it around if you need to. Down into the legs, we have some more metallic blue parts. We got the, the orange T's on his knees. I don't know if that was like intentional, but that's pretty funny. And the boots are like a shiny kind of plastic, and the pants are not. I mean, they're less shiny, you know. Hasbro plastic always comes off as shiny, but in this case, down here at the boots, it's a little more shiny intentionally, it would seem. But yeah, this is good, man. There's a bunch of nice details. Back here, we have some more texturing on the pants, and it's smooth right here. A little bit of smooth details in the middle there. And on the back, we have some shoulder pads right here that look nice. Little metallic shoulder pads. Mine did get scuffed up a little bit from trying to bring his arm up. because the shoulder joints are really tight. So you probably want to be careful with that. But, you know, it's not a big deal. It's just a shoulder pad. It's okay if it gets dinged up, you know. He's out there kicking ass, so it's bound to happen. And then on the arms, we have some nice details too. I like these little guards on the forearm. They have some orange to match the rest of the figure. That looks nice. And then moving on up here. So these little shoulder pads are like soft pieces of plastic, and when you bring the arm up, they tuck into the ball joint, and that's where you're going to get some scraping. But for whatever reason, it doesn't really happen on this side. So I'm not sure what happened on this shoulder. But yeah, that's something you just have to be aware of. But like I said, I'm not really too upset about it. But yeah, I love this right here. This is like the standout part for me. I think the torso area looks incredible. I just really, really love the colors and the design and the metallic stuff. It looks really, really good. So yeah, the sculpting work on this thing is beautiful. I think they did a good job there. And for the accessories, I was really impressed by the amount of stuff that Taskmaster comes with. First off, we have 3 different sets of hands. The first pair being a set of fists. And then we have a set of gripping hands. The right side is like a trigger finger hand, and the left side is just like a generic gripping hand. And then we have a set of clawed hands, and these look like they're just repainted Killmonger hands, but that's okay. It works, so that's cool. And then he also comes with some great weapons. He does have a sword. He has a bow and an arrow. And then he comes with his iconic shield. And his shield looks nice, but it does look like it's a little small. But I do like it a lot. And it clips right on, like with one of these style of clips that are known to break pretty easy. So be very careful when you're putting it onto the figure. But luckily, mine hasn't felt like it's going to break or anything. So I've been pretty happy with that. And taking a closer look at the weapons themselves, I think they're pretty cool, especially this sword. I love this orange blade, and the handle looks crazy too. Like, what's up with that hole in the middle? I think that's awesome. And then the bow looks really good too. There's a lot of sculpted detail on there, but it looks pretty like plastic looking in the middle area here. And then we just have like the orange tips. And then we have this like big plastic, what's this called? Drawstring? I think that's what it's called. I don't know, but it's big and plastic and awkward. And then the arrow is just a piece of plastic, you know, but it's cool. And there's like a little channel for you to put the arrow into. I wish it clipped in so you don't have to worry about it falling out. But, you know, it doesn't quite clip in that securely. But it's cool that it's there so you know where the arrow has to go. And yeah, I think that's cool. I love the fact that he came with all the essential stuff, multiple hands, his sword, shield, all that good stuff. So I'm happy with the accessories. And if you're curious, he is able to hold on to some guns because he actually does have a trigger finger on that hand. So that's cool. And the gun that he's holding here is the one that I got from the 112 shop. I'm not sure if this is like an original sculpt or what, but it looks good with him. So he might have to rock this thing right here. I like the way that looks a lot. So this is dope. And you could definitely have him hold all kinds of different guns. And for some size comparisons, we have Taskmaster alongside a couple of his comic book counterparts. On the left, we have the Udon-inspired Taskmaster, and on the right, we have the classic Taskmaster. Next, we have him alongside the Marvel Legends Power and Glory Captain America and a Marvel Legends movie Black Widow, but I'm not sure which one that is. It's one of the older ones. I think it's from the Civil War wave. Next, we have him alongside the Marvel Legends movie Winter Soldier and the Marvel Legends movie Killmonger. And hopefully Taskmaster joins these guys as being some of the coolest antagonists in the Marvel movies. Next, we have him alongside the Mezco 112 Collective Deathstroke. And it looks like he could be in a team with him or something. The colors match, like, it's crazy how well they match. They look like they could be a squad or something. And then we have the Marvel Legends 80th Anniversary Captain America, which is one of my favorite figures. And then next up, we have him alongside an Articulated Icons White Ninja and the Hasbro Lightning Collection Red Ranger. And of course, we have him with the Marvel Legends Pizza Spider-Man and Marvel Legends Bucky Cap. And then last but not least, we have him alongside a pineapple and some beard oil in case he needs to distract the Red Guardian. And the articulation on this figure is pretty good, but it's your standard Marvel Legends style articulation setup with a couple of surprises. I was pretty impressed by the amount of range we see on some of the joints, and then there was one piece of articulation on here that I wasn't expecting at all. But for the most part, it is pretty familiar. It's not bad at all, but I don't think anyone's going to be very surprised by what we have going on here. But let's go ahead and get into it, starting with the head. It is able to move side to side, but it is hindered a little bit because of the hood, and then there's a little bit of tilt to it, and there is a hinge in there, which apparently that's not the case with a lot of the other characters in this wave, and that is whack. But luckily, Taskmaster does have a hinge, and his head can go down to about right there, but the hood kind of gets in the way. But still, you could look down a good amount, and then you could look up to about right there, but then the back of the hood gets in the way. But still, you get some pretty good movement out of the head, considering there's a hood on here that doesn't move, so I'm pretty happy with the movement there. And then for the torso, we do have a waist swivel, and then we have this awesome ab crunch. Look at that. Bam! Holy crap. That's pretty good. And then it could go back to about right there. And I just love the way the torso is designed, that you can't see that articulation. That is awesome. So good stuff right there. And then for the arms, we kind of have like a butterfly joint, but it's really, really tight. I can't really get it to move. Let's see here. That's about as far back as it'll go. So not too much movement with that butterfly joint. And I even soaked them in hot water for a little bit to try to loosen it up, and it's just not happening. It's moving, but it just doesn't get that much range. So, you know, it is what it is. It's cool that that's in there. I was surprised by that. I didn't really think we would see that in this figure. Hey, there we go. Got it back a little bit. There's definitely some movement to these butterfly joints, but you're just not going to get that much out of it. Still, that's pretty useful, so that's dope. Can't really come forward too much, though. But yeah, I like that they put that in there. I just wish it was a little more useful. And then his arms do go all the way around. You could bring his arm up to the side. And like I said, you have to be careful because this shoulder pad thing kind of like goes in between the shoulder joint and that other little piece in there, and it kind of squeezes in there. So it's going to get dinged up a little bit. Like I mentioned, it's not a huge deal. But, you know, some people might not like that so much. But just be aware when you're bringing the arm up, the shoulder pad is going to get tucked in there and might get scuffed a little bit. This side works a little bit better, just so you could see how much the arms could go out. So there you go. You can bring his arms all the way out. And then you have a upper bicep swivel. You have double jointed elbows on both sides, obviously. Probably a dumb thing to say, but yeah, there you go. So that's cool. And then you have a swivel at the wrist and a hinge at the wrist. And he just has like the standard hinged wrist, but I do wish that the gun gripping hands came with the vertical type of grip that we've seen on a lot of Marvel Legends figures lately. I think that would have been helpful when you're trying to pose him with the bow and arrow. And then for the legs, let's see what we got going on here. Whoa, look at that. They can go out a pretty good amount. And then his little belt pieces just kind of get out of the way because they're soft plastic. So that's dope. Then you can bring his leg up to the front to about right there. Could go back a little bit, but not really. And then you have the upper thigh swivel. Oh, and I like how they did this. I like how the armor piece kind of comes above where the articulation is cut, so it hides it very well. So that's dope. I like that a lot. And then you have double jointed knees. There is no lower leg swivel and no swivel at the foot, but you do have your rocking ankles, your feet that go forward like that, and then they come up like that. So yeah, like I said, he has a pretty good amount of articulation. No huge surprises, but there's a couple of little treats in there, so I'm happy with that. All right, so overall, I think this is a really nice figure. I think that Hasbro really went all out with it, and they did a great job, especially with the sculpt. I just love the way that the armor looks. The articulation is pretty good, but I feel like it could have been a little bit better if maybe they freed up those shoulder joints a little bit more to allow a little bit more movement there. And as always, I would have preferred a diaphragm joint as opposed to the ab crunch, but I love the way they did the ab crunch because it looks good right in there. You can't even see it, so that is super dope. I love the fact that this guy came with a bunch of accessories, so that's always nice. We don't always get that with Marvel Legends. And like I said, I feel like they just went all out on this guy, and that's awesome because this is the first time that we're going to see this character in the movies, so it's really nice that they gave us a good figure right off the bat. And, you know, to be honest, obviously the Figure Arts one will probably come along and be a lot better than this, but shoot, for like a $20 Marvel Legends, you get a lot inside of this box, and you get a really nice figure, so I'm not mad at this at all. But I probably will get the Figure Arts one. We'll see. Who knows? Maybe it'll come out and there'll be some problems with it, and then this guy will be the king of the Taskmasters. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. And like I mentioned before, this figure has me even more hyped up about Taskmaster's appearance in the upcoming Black Widow movie. I'm really curious as to what they're going to do with this character. I really hope that they don't get too complicated with it. I kind of just hope he's a guy who just came out of nowhere that has this skill, and he was maybe like a part of Hydra, maybe like a instructor, like a fighting instructor at Hydra or something like that. Nothing too deep, because even in the comics, it's not like Taskmaster has this crazy rich history, or at least not that I know of. I'm sure if you dig deep, there's a bunch of comics that talk about Taskmaster as a kid or whatever, but for the most part, Taskmaster was just a guy who was known to train like villains. He trained some heroes, and he had this awesome power to copy anyone's abilities. So that's dope. And he's also a mercenary. So just to go off that, I think that would be cool if they took that and just expanded on it. I would hate if Taskmaster removed his mask and it was somebody that we've already seen in the MCU, like like Maria Hill or Everett Ross or somebody we're not expecting, like this big old surprise, whatever. I wouldn't be into that. I just hope he's a guy that came out of nowhere and he just kicks ass and he's awesome. And there's also rumors that he might be a female under the costume. You know, I'm not really opposed to that, but I just don't see a reason for it. So it's kind of just, you know, change for the sake of change. It's like, whatever. They've done that in the past and the results weren't that good. I hated what they did with Captain Marvel in the Captain Marvel movie. I thought that was garbage. I mean, the movie was okay. I didn't mind the movie, but I just hated what they did with Marvel. That was just so weird. I hope that they don't do something similar in this case. I just hope he's a dude who comes out of nowhere and he's a badass. That's all I need from this Taskmaster. It doesn't need to get that deep. We don't need to interweave it into something pre-existing in the Marvel Universe or whatever. He could just be a dude who popped up because of all these superheroes or whatever, and he's just here to kick some ass. I think that would be perfectly sufficient. We'll have to see what happens though. But in any case, I'm excited to see what they do with it. But anyways, I think that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Huge shout out to my boy Rick for hooking me up with this figure. Once again, man, that dude keeps coming through. I think like 3 of my last 7 videos are all because of figures that he hooked me up with. So thanks a lot, man. I really appreciate it. Check Rick out at Artwits Toys on Instagram. He's always posting super dope action figure shots, so make sure to check him out. And I think that's it. So thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Thank you very much. Peace.